Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2018 Dodge Durango, we're going to be showing you how to install the etrailer.com 7-way upgrade kit. But before we do that, let's check it out and make sure that this is going to be something that you're actually going to need. So what this kit is going to do is give us a round 7-way type connector as well as a 4-way flat type connector. So we get both of them, and really there's two big reasons that you would want to use this kit. Maybe the first one being that your trailer just has this type of connector here, the 7-way round type connector. And you know, you don't, let's say that trailer doesn't have brakes on it or anything. You know, this would power up all the lights essentially. But probably what's the most popular about it is this is going to offer us a 12-volt auxiliary power. So we're going to have, in our 7-way, we're going to have all of our lighting functions and then that 12-volt auxiliary power. And a lot of people use that to be able to use a brake controller like this one here, the CURT Echo. These are really popular. And what's going to happen is when you plug this in, it's going to power up and give us a brake controller. That way, if we're pulling a trailer that has electric brakes, we can use this to apply those brakes. I feel like this is going to be kind of the way of the future in a sense, because nowadays cars, the dashboards are just so tight, so much technology in them, you just don't have a lot of room anymore to mount up, you know, that traditional style brake controller that stays on your dashboard. And not to mention too, you might not want to look at that all the time. Something like this, you can just pop it out, throw it in the glove box until the next time you need it type deal. So this is probably the most popular reason. So if you're looking to do a brake controller and you really don't want to mess with anything on the dash or cut into wires or anything like that, you could always pick up this kit, get a CURT Echo like this, and then you'll be all set. Now, for those of you that are wanting to use a traditional style brake controller, one that does mount up to your dash, there's a kit pretty similar to this. It just comes with a few extra things, and that's the kit you would need. It's called the eTrailer Universal Brake Controller Install Kit. So if that's what you're looking to do, check that setup out. With that said though, in order to use this, you are going to need an existing 4-way flat wiring on the vehicle, whether it's from the factory or one of the kits here from eTrailer. It's something you're going to need because this actually plugs into that and gets some of its signals from that. So if your car don't have one on it already, the one that we used on ours here today is the CURT, and everything worked out really well. But other than that though, you know, really not much to the kit. It's going to come with everything you need to be able to hook it up and use one of those wireless type brake controllers. As far as the installation goes, it's really not too bad. Nothing really complicated. Just takes a little bit of time. You do have to run a wire from the back here up to the engine compartment. And I will say, if you are going to be installing your 4-way flat wiring at the same time that you're doing this, run both the power wires together. That way you don't have to do it once, and it'll save you a little bit of time. But as long as you stay focused, really shouldn't give you too many issues. And why don't we go ahead and do this together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here at the back of our Durango. Now, clearly we have our fascia removed. You don't have to have yours removed by any means. It's just easier to install everything with it off because I'm doing this the same time that we installed our hitch. So, and it's easier to see as well. So this can be done with the fascia and everything on, just a little bit tighter to work with. If you do want to pull the fascia off, you can pull up the draw tight hitch here and watch one of the installation videos, and one of us will walk you through how to pull the fascia off. That's what you want to do. But that said, first things first, I mounted up my bracket here. I did use a no drill long bracket, which is this one here. That way we could actually clamp this to the hitch. And in our case, this is all going to depend on your particular hitch you have on your car. So this one, the draw tight, everything's pretty tight, so kind of had to make things work here. I put some spacers and dropped this down. But with that said, we're going to take our 7-way and get this secure. I'm going to take your 4-way flat and push this through. And what I found in the past, if you push that tight and then bolt this down, it kind of helps hold that 4-way in place too. So we'll take our hardware, which will be a screw, And then on the back side of that, I'll take a flat washer, a split lock washer, and a nut. So I'll go ahead and get the rest of our hardware started and tighten it down. So I got it tightened down. Now we can start to hook up some of our wires. Our first one being the 4-way that's coming off the back of our connector. I am going to take some dielectric grease and apply some of it to the terminals. And what this is going to do is help prevent corrosion and things of that nature. I'll just smear some on there. If you don't have any at home, you can grab a tube here at etrailer if you want it. But then you're going to take your existing 4-way flat wiring, because you will need the existing wiring. We have the CURT wiring kit here today. I'm just going to plug that in, the two ends in together. So I went ahead and just wrapped some electrical tape around our connection and then zip tied them together just to make it semi-permanent. For our other wires, you're going to have a black, a yellow, and a blue. We're not going to be using the yellow and blue, so I just taped those up out of the way. The black one here, I cut off, because these come with pre-attached butt connectors. I cut that one off and upgraded it to a heat shrink. Just helps protect it against corrosion, but the one that'll come with it will work just fine. But the way you're going to make butt connections here is you're going to take your wire and strip it back. And so what this is, you're going to have a bundle of power wire. All right, and I started to route it down here. I'll show you the path here in a moment. But that bundle, one end of that bundle of power wire has got to get connected to the black wire there. And so we're going to strip back the insulation. Give that wire a good twist. Plug it into the butt connector and crimp it down. And since I'm using these heat shrinks, the ends will seal up. I'll grab my heat gun and get that done now. So from here, I just took our bundle of wires and kind of jammed it up against the back of our hitch and zip tied it. What we have left to connect back here is our white wire with the ring terminal. That's going to be a ground. And so, pretty thick piece of metal right here. I kind of scratched off some of the paint. And I'm going to take the self-tapping screw and get this secured. So I showed you guys hooking up that length of black power wire that we did a moment ago. I can show you how I ran it. So the connection's right here, and then the wire's gonna run across our hitch. I just have it in this loom here, but you get the idea. You can see actually where that black wire comes out, so that's it there. And it's just going to follow along on our passenger side here. And you want to do your best to avoid the exhaust and stuff. There's really no other way around it, so I used a clamp here to kind of secure it up and out of the way. And right here kind of have a sharp edge, so I just took an old piece of rubber hose, kind of wrapped it that way when I scratch it up and get damaged. But that wire's going to run right through here, and now we can go underneath the vehicle and show you the rest. Underneath the vehicle, here's our wire, and this is going to run right along through here. A little tricky to see in this area, but it goes up and over our subframe. You can kind of see a piece of it there. We're just going to continue along and kind of drop down here right at the back of our fuel tank. And then you're going to route it along through here. We have some factory wire casing that I just followed, so just ran it straight along the side here, and then right up through an opening here in our wheel well. And I'll show you it when we get up top, but there's going to be a hole up there, and you can take a fish wire, so like a coat hanger or something like that, from up top, drop it down through that hole. When it's down here on the bottom, you can tape your wires to it. That way you can pull them right up into position where they need to be. So now here in the engine compartment, this opening here, that's where our wire came up through. And then I simply just push the end of it out through here where some of our other factory wires run. And about 6 inches past where it comes out there, I crimped on a small ring terminal. Now we can take our circuit breaker and get that mounted. Right here in this area looks pretty good. I did just kind of bend these tabs a little bit so it kind of, you know, conforms to our plastic panel there. But I'm just going to take provided self-tapping screws and zip them in. And once this is secure, we can begin to get some of our wires hooked up. So this one that runs to the back of our 7-way that we attach a smaller ring terminal to. If we look at the silver post, we're going to take that nut off. Slide it over and get the nut started again. So now what I've done is taken about, I don't know, 1 foot, 16-inch piece of wire and just slid it through our opening there. And so one end, this end, you're going to crimp on a large ring terminal. The other end here, we're going to crimp on another small ring terminal. Get that pushed down. And then this end here is going to get connected to the brass colored post. I'm going to get both of these started and then come back with a 3/8 socket and snug them down. So once you have both of the nuts tightened down, we can work our way to our positive post here. And this is what we're going to hook up to for our power supply. So we can remove this nut using a 13mm socket. We'll take our large ring terminal, slide that over. And since I'm doing this the same time that I'm installing my 4-way flat wiring, I just waited to hook that one up, so I'll put that on at this point as well. And then we can just tighten our nut back down. So now it's a good idea to test everything to make sure that it's working properly. So I just plugged in a small tester. That way, you know, we can avoid plugging into our trailer, because if our trailer has any issues, it could confuse us on if we did something wrong on the car side or is there something wrong on the trailer side. So a tester like that, like this, will avoid all that. But we have our 12-volt auxiliary power lit up, so we know that's working. And now we'll try our left turn, our right turn, our brake lights, and our running lights. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the etrailer.com 7-way upgrade kit on our 2018 Dodge Durango.